All right, welcome back to the podcast. Today, you all are in for a major, major treat because I am joined by Suzy Crawford, who has built a phenomenal six-figure business in a very short amount of time. That is in and of itself a huge accomplishment, but also has tons of marketing experiences in the tech world with some big name companies you definitely know. And I just see this as a time to suck all her expertise out and also learn a little bit about your entrepreneurship journey, Suzy, because it is a different world than corporate. And I'm just stoked to talk about all the things. So without further ado, Suzy, could you just fill the gaps quickly? What do you do now? Bring us up to speed, how you kind of started and what you're up to now. We'll work backwards from there.
Yes. Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm beyond excited to be here, Kelsey. So where I am now, so I have my own business, a coaching business that has only been live for a few months, but I've been an entrepreneur for, I'd like to say, since I was like 3. But if you were to really look at me, I've been more, corporate and in the corporate world for over 14 years. And I feel like my true entrepreneurial journey started 3 years ago. So just like you said, I'm a marketer through and through. I've been in marketing for 14 years, and 7 of those years I spent working at Google. I was in their media and entertainment division, so working with TV studios, film studios, and helping build their marketing strategies. That was amazing, just a great experience. And while I was there, I started my own business. I started an agency, and I did, marketing consulting, agency work, digital ad work, and it was great. I did it all on the side, all while raising 3 kids and working this demanding, like crazy job. But it was incredible. And I feel like because I did this on the side and because I was a mom, I had to really figure out, how do I do this efficiently? And so that's kind of where my coaching skills came in. And now I'm really focused on my coaching business. I do have some agency clients still, but I'm focused on my coaching business and helping women start their businesses, whether it's agencies, coaches, any business. I'm working with like CPG brands too. So helping them start businesses and be efficient and work less.
I love that. And I think it's really interesting that marketing was your foot in the door for that entire world. Where I know you, we're friends. So we recently talked about this shift, but let's just go there. When you initially started your business, did you know the direction you're going to take it? How did that, or are you doing now something completely different than you thought it would be when you first started?
Yes, it has morphed a lot and
Yeah.
changed a ton. So when I initially started, it was kind of just a little shift for my agency. I was working and doing a lot of done for you work. So implementing marketing plans, implementing ads, doing everything for businesses. And then I saw a bigger opportunity to impact more people and just help them do this. So create the strategies and then empower them to implement it themselves and really be like that portal to success. So that was the like phase 1 of my coaching business. And then from there, it's really kind of, I've honed in on the marketing piece, because I'm a really big believer that marketing is like 95% of a business. You can have all the strategy in the world. You can know how to build all the financial spreadsheets and the financial models, but if you don't know how to sell your business, you don't know how to market it and reach the right people, then it's going to go nowhere. It's the heartbeat of every single business. And I mean, how freaking powerful is that, right? Like it
Yeah.
truly drives everything. And I think a lot of people put marketing second. They think, okay, I need to figure out the tactical things first. I need to figure out what I'm offering. But none of that matters if you can't market your business. So I'm really all about become a marketer first and then figure out the other stuff. Sell your business, know who you're targeting. So it has more from, okay, I did done for you and now then done with you. And now I'm really focused on like, I'm going to help you build a business with marketing at the forefront.
Yeah. I think that's so cool. And I love that we have you like in the heat of the moment to share your expertise, but also some things you're learning like in real time. And these are things that I think not only apply to you as an entrepreneur in your business, but people listening. I hope that they really attune to that, which is you have nothing to sell if no one's there to sell it to. So you could have like the most beautiful, perfect offer you spent forever creating, but if you're not working on getting those people connected to you first, then it really doesn't matter. For those listening, Suzy's shaking her head aggressively. Yes. So let me
I'm
know
a
your
big
thoughts
head
on that.
shaker. If you guys are not watching the video or anything, I'm Colombian. And so I'm like very, like my hands are always moving.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm very expressive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what did that bring up? What, yeah, you were just like
Yeah, I mean, a
100%.
lot of my clients will come and they'll say, I have a beautiful website. I have the best services. I am so good at what I do, but I cannot get clients. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. They focus first on, let's make this really pretty website. Let's do all of these things that we don't need. And then we'll figure out how to make the business work. That's all secondary. The first thing you need to be focusing on is like getting the right message to the right audience so that you get your first buyer, so you get those cash injections and you get that momentum to then build the beautiful website and everything. So there's so much to the foundations of business that is really skipped. The foundations is like when I work with my clients and in my programs, like we go back to the foundations every week. It's always like, are you really targeting the right audience? If this didn't land, why didn't it land? Where was the break? And a lot of times people initially think like, oh, it just like, people, I don't know, like I have the right messaging. I know I have the right audience. Well, no, you don't. Like we really need to hone in on the right messaging, the right audience. And that's the foundations of any business.
100%. So if you were to start again tomorrow, totally from scratch, what are maybe a couple things you would for sure do first?
If I were to start from scratch, I would honestly go to the foundations. I would say like, who is my audience? Everybody thinks my audience is everyone. It's absolutely not. Your audience is not everyone. If you think that, then good luck.
Yeah.
But there's a lot right now happening where people are like, don't niche down. Like what is like that thing I keep hearing, multi-passionate. I don't have a niche. People that say that, I literally look at their brand and I'm like, I could tell you who your niche is. Like you saying that is niching you. So if I were to start over, I would really think of who is my ideal audience. It is not everyone. Who is it in the beginning? It can be everyone later. And like, just think of that ideal transformation for them and just sell that. When I started, I wanted to do what everyone else does. I wanted to reach everyone, do all these things. And it was hard because I was working with one brand that does one thing, another company that does another, solopreneur that does another. I was all over the place. So if you really focus on that one person, you're going to get that messaging down. You're going to get the right offer to them, and then you can expand later.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And I think we business entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs almost look to other places for like a different area to focus on, meaning like we hide out in Canva designing this like beautiful infographic we're going to post when really the thing might be just hanging out in the DMs or spending more time really, really laser focused on who is that person and getting super specific on that. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I would venture to guess if you niche down and you're speaking to a specific avatar, you probably still get people who aren't that, but being specific is 100% worth it. So your thoughts on that?
No, it's totally true. So I have a program, Freelancer to CEO, and my initial avatar was always service providers. So people that do done for you services, people that do the things that I did when I started, and taking them from that, hustling freelancer to the CEO that actually works like 3 to 5 hours a day, but makes multiple six figures. So my avatar was social media managers, VAs, etc. And when I released the beta of this program, so I always do betas before I do a full launch because I like to do it at a steep discount and get a lot of feedback. There are other businesses in there. There's somebody that has a clothing brand, somebody that's a coach for like retail boutiques. And I still my messaging was very targeted to done for you service providers. But even then, you still attract other people, just like you said, because there are certain things with my message, with my services and what I'm offering that are going to attract ancillary businesses. And as long as you remain targeted, you'll still bring other people in. But those people that are really going to resonate with your message, they're going to come at you like in masses.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And I think that's, at least when I'm talking to people, that's a big fear that comes up for them, is that they're not gonna be able to serve the people they want to. And I just don't think that's true.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's put the spotlight on you a little bit. I don't know if anyone's ever asked this question, but I'm just going to be nosy because that's just how I roll. How was your identity going from corporate, people know you for your expertise in what you do, to starting and building a business? Is that something that you had to work through? What was kind of your relationship with that transition?
Oh my gosh, I could go on for a very long, this would be like 10 podcast episodes. It was honestly really hard.
Yeah.
So I didn't quit my corporate job. Like I didn't leave Google for a long time. I had my own business on the side for years. I think like 2.5, 3 years. And I didn't because there was such a strong identity there. And anytime I mentioned leaving, people would be like, are you freaking crazy? Like you have like all these benefits. You work for a company that like people love and people want to work with. Like, what are you doing? And it was hard. All of these like little voices, all that chatter, you listen to it and you start to forget about what you want. So like, yes, other people want to work there. That's great. And I did for a while. So I got that. But now what do I want? And once I got close to being like, okay, it's time to leave, I I feel like that's when the identity crisis set in. It set in well before I left. And it was, well, then who am I going to be? Right. Like my resume was so made up of like all of these achievements. I went to a good MBA school. I worked at this amazing company. I've done these things. I just won an award at Google too. And I was like, who am I? Like, who would hire me if I don't have that? But then I got to the point where I had to leave because it was getting too exhausting. I had my family, my business, my corporate life, and I either gave up my business or I gave up my corporate life. And I wasn't going to give up my dream. So I left. And honestly, the second I left, it was really freeing. It was like all of the chatter, all of the noise, it went away because I feel like it's gonna sound silly, but I honestly feel like my soul was like, you listened to yourself, like you actually cared about you versus what others think of you. And it was kind of amazing. And it did take me a while to admit it to people. Like it took me a while to say, like, I quit. I did it, I left. And there are still people today that like probably still think I work there because they don't follow me on social, they don't know my other business. And that's okay. They'll find out sometime. But what matters is like that I did it for myself, not what other people think.
That's huge, and congrats. That's my whole thing is like people talk about, you have hardship or kind of something that nudges you to make a change or start your business or whatever. But then there's this other experience that happens for people, which is you actually have a really good thing and you're leaving a good thing for another good thing. And that's like a whole nother level, but we're human beings and it's still hard, but just in a different way. And so I think that's amazing that you did that. And now you can share your journey not only with my audience, people listening to this, but your audience as well and the people that you serve in your community.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For sure. Was it hard in the beginning to explain to people what you did?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, people really understood the agency work that I did. So telling people, yeah, I have a marketing agency, that clicks. Like people understand, oh, great. I would work with startups. Those were my main clients. I'd work with startups, help them pitch their business, help them build out marketing plans. That's so like tangible. You understand the outcome. It's like a business will go from not having a marketing plan to Suzy going in, building out the marketing plan and doing it for them. Outcome, they have a marketing plan. When you're doing something like a mentorship or a coaching program, a lot of people, if they've never done it or heard of it, are like, what is that? Like, what is the tangible outcome? And it's hard to explain to people that don't know it because it isn't like you're going in and creating things for people. You are instead the portal to help educate people and help them go from A to B, help them go from not having a business to having a business, but you're not doing it for them. So yes, a lot of people were like, what is that? I think my parents are still like, what is that? But as they start seeing success and as they start seeing, your groups fill up, you're getting clients, people just begin to accept it, even if they don't understand it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think myself going from hair salon owner to coach, people know hair. It wasn't hard to be like, yeah, I'm a hair salon owner. I also do some wedding stuff. Great, makes sense. And then now as a coach, it took a while to explain what that is. And for me, it kind of took a hit to the ego because I'm like fumbling on my words. I'm at dinner parties and they're like, well, who do you work with? What do you do? Oh, I just hype people up. And I found I would kind of dilute myself sometimes. And so that's even something I had to work on is how do I sell myself in that little micro moment when I'm just describing what I do? Because beforehand, same for you, you could just be like, yeah, I work for Google. People immediately know what that is. So how can I create that awareness for my business?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's funny is even when I would say I work for Google, it like, and I would try to explain what I did because it was a little complicated. There was like strategy involved. People still didn't understand it, but they would accept it. It would be
Weird.
totally
Yeah.
fine because you have that like
Brand.
brand recognition. It's like, oh, okay, that's enough. I don't even need to understand. Like people, I would say 1% of people really understood what I did. But as long as I said that, I work for Google, it was like a check mark. So not having that, going back to your question of like how hard was it leaving, that was so hard because I didn't have that like I work for myself. Like then people were like, well, what do you do? You know, before it was like I could just say that one sentence and it would be enough. Now it's like having to prove myself. So I had to really
Mhm.
get past that hump of like, why do I have to prove myself? Like, why does it matter? You know, and it doesn't. What matters is like what I think about myself and what I think about when I think about my business and how much it excites me, not other people.
Ugh, that's so good and so true. And it
Yeah.
kind of ties a little bit into, I mean, that initial question ties into my next one, which is marketing. Yes, you have to get awareness and you have to get eyeballs on your offer, whatever you're doing, but then you also have to close the sale. So, could you talk through your experience and what you learned having your own business once you get, like, how did you get your first 100K? Was it 90 days?
Those for my agency. My
Yeah, for the
agency. Yeah.
agency. I mean, you're basically like birthing another business right now, by the way, for people listening. Like, I understand this world, and I think we just casually, as entrepreneurs, can pivot so quick, but you're basically birthing a whole new thing, even though it relates. But yeah, how tips around lessons learned around closing that
Yeah.
interest you're getting from people.
So this is actually something I talk about a lot with my clients because I think a lot of people approach sales just like everyone else does. But when you approach it differently and you try to close differently, you get different results, right? Get
Mm-hmm.
better results. So when I think of my agency and what I did, a lot of people would go in and they would just say, hey, this is what I'm going to do for you. These are like the tactics. They would sell tactics and not outcomes. Whereas for me, what I did was I would go in and I'd say like, let's say it was a startup and they're trying to raise like their first 2 million from investors. Okay, so this is like I'm going to come in and I'm going to do XYZ and the outcome is I'm going to help you raise your 2 million. But while we're doing that, like you're still working on your business and I'm doing everything else. I'm taking everything off your plate. So the number one thing and how did I close and how do I teach my students those is selling outcomes and not tactics. Like really tangible example that I feel like a lot of people get is I have a lot of social media managers that are my clients. So many, and I'm sure you get this too, so many slide into your DMs. They're like, these are my packages and these are my prices. And that's it. That is selling tactics.
Yeah.
Like that is how you become a social media manager that isn't able to charge premium, or you're the one that's like hustling for the sales. The same with coaches. So the way you sell is you sell the outcome. So instead, if you could go in and say like, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to build your online presence, your social media presence so that you don't even have to log in. Like you could delete the app if you want. All you have to do is be with your clients. But what you're going to see is clients coming to you, clients saying, oh my gosh, I saw your posts. I love them. You're going to see like your follower count go up by 100 each week, whatever it is. You're selling the outcome and like the dream, whereas everybody else is selling the packages.
Yes. Yes. And I think that oftentimes we don't tap into that emotional piece. And I think that's the missing. People don't care if your program is 8 weeks or 2 weeks or if it's evergreen or if they don't care or even know what that means half the time. And especially when I'm thinking of service providers, coaches specifically,
Mhm.
that's a huge, huge issue I see people with their messaging.
Yes, so many are like, you're gonna get 2 Zoom calls a week.
Yeah.
One will be Q&A, one will be training. You're gonna like blah, 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 a free, like not a free, a private Facebook group. Great, that's like what every program does. So what are you doing? Freelancer to CEO, the way I sold it was like, you're gonna go from the freelancer that is hustling for every client, 20 hours a day to the CEO that's working 5 hours a day and making multiple 6 figures. So like, what is that transformation and that dream outcome? Selling that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's interesting because you're specific in your words there, but that does apply to a lot of people. So no
Oh
wonder you
yeah.
have a couple other people trickling in that are not your niche, quote unquote.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. what advice nuggets you would give to someone listening who maybe they are about to hire an agency or they think that's the solution for their business? What are some things a solopreneur can do to set themselves up to maybe get to that place of outsourcing social
Mhm.
media management, VAs? Because obviously you're helping the people who would help those people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm also, a lot of clients I have are coaches too that are looking to outsource, or, one thing we haven't touched on is ads. Like that's a big piece of my
We'll get back
program.
there.
And yeah, like a big piece of my program is ads. And that's, that's really what I focused on when I was at Google and before that. So I really teach people, service providers, coaches, that even if you're going to hire someone to run it for yourself, you need to know the strategy, because if you don't, you will get burned, especially in this world where accounts are getting shut down left and right. Like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of those platforms are really starting to crack down on, are people running ads for good? And the thing is until I entered this like coaching world, I didn't see ads get or ad accounts get shut down as much as they are. It's very, very like very much specific to this industry. And why? It's because everyone's starting to run ads, but nobody knows how to run them. So they're getting shut down. And there's a lot of things you can do to avoid that. All that being said, to answer your question, things people can do: learn marketing before you outsource, learn paid marketing. It's so critical. Organic reach is going down. It's like at 1 to 3% now. Yes, they've announced that they're going to change the algorithm so it can go up, but by how much, right? And then when will it go down again? When you are focused on organic only, you're really at the mercy of these platforms. You're essentially playing defense in your business. You're putting stuff out there. You're working hard to attract your ideal audience. Anytime anything changes on the organic side, you're playing defense. You're adjusting to what Facebook did, what Instagram did. When you combine, because I'm a big believer in organic as well. When you combine organic and paid together, you're playing offense, because you're not only at the mercy of these changes. Your ads are consistently running. You're always bringing in new leads. You're attracting new people, and it allows you to have so much more control of your business. So to answer your question, what would I do? Learn both of those. Even if you're not going to run it yourselves, learn the basics, so that when you do hire someone, you know what they're doing. You can at least audit their work, because if you're letting it all go to, a freelancer, you could be one of those people that's getting shut down, which is happening every day, thousands of times a day.
That, and you're at the mercy of them. So say it doesn't work out, you want to work with someone else, they move on and do something else. Now you're left with everything just sitting there on your plate and you don't even know what to do with it.
Exactly. That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just think that to lead, you have to know your strategy, you have to know where you're going, and to know all of that, I'm also a firm believer you should know all the different functions of your business before you grow wherever you're growing.
Yeah. It's
For sure.
important.
Totally. So how has juggling entrepreneurship and motherhood changed or been different than corporate and motherhood?
It's easier, honestly.
Really?
I think,
Huh.
yeah, I don't think most people would say that, but I do think it's easier. I had a really intense corporate job too.
Yeah.
Like it was very intense. As much as, yes, Google's flexible and stuff, it was very intense. Um, but with entrepreneurship, I have control over my schedule. If and I created a business where I'm very, very transparent in that I have 3 kids. I'm like family first, no matter what. If I need to move a meeting, my clients are so understanding. If my daughter is sick, and I'm not always moving meetings, but I'm saying, like, I feel like I've created this like environment where clients can do the same to me. I am very, if something comes up, I'm not going to just cancel their meeting and not, or their one-on-one, and not let them have it back. I think that's ridiculous. Like, you need to build a business around your family, not your family around your business. So
Yeah.
it's easier because I've created it that way, and I've allowed myself to have, leave at 2 and pick my son up from school, then pick my daughter up and have those days with them, where it just wasn't as possible in the corporate world.
That's amazing. And you're right. I don't know that everyone would have that answer.
Yeah,
So,
no, I think it'd be the other way around for sure.
but
But
had it
it
not been
should
that way,
be.
you wouldn't set your business up the way you had, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. I set my business up as a mom of three. So it's not like I had them after. So I knew how I wanted it to be.
Do you mind sharing some tools or strategies you use to protect those boundaries and honor them?
My voice. I think the first thing is my
I'm
like
laughing, but like, duh. I mean, yeah.
yeah,
Sorry,
like
keep
that's
going.
the number one tool is like your honesty, your transparency, you letting clients know like I'm someone who believes in family first always, like please never ever hesitate to tell me if something comes up. The truth is I think a lot of people are scared to do that because they don't want clients that are going to be like wishy-washy and like constantly canceling. They're not. Clients have invested to work with you. Like they're not going to lose their one-on-ones. They want your support. They want your help. They're only going to do that if something like comes up, and I think that's happened like once. So it's really just being transparent and honest and letting them know like you are a family, family first. That's what I always say. And it's also nice because they can be really vulnerable with you. Like we've had so many times where you like they're crying on in the meetings and you're just there to hold them because it is really hard to be a mom and own a business. It's really hard. There's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of struggles, but as long as you can push through together, it's okay.
What are some things that have surprised you in your journey of entrepreneurship?
um I have my kids are 5, 3, and 1, so they're really little.
Busy.
And yeah, they're
Yeah.
very busy.
Yeah.
They're really little. But what's really fun is I didn't think my kids like they don't know entrepreneurship. All they know is like, am I less stressed? Am I more available? Like the things that are really basic. But what surprised me is like my kids' reaction to it is like, oh my gosh, like we get to do this right after school. You never used to be able to do this. I
Wow.
know. Yeah. And just that stuff, I feel like to me was like really eye-opening because I was like, this isn't just for me. I went into entrepreneurship as I want this for me. Yes, I want to be more present for my family. Yes, I want to do things that are going to make, that I want to do so I'm happier and a happier mom, etc. But it all trickles down because your energy, everyone, around you absorbs it. And my kids saw it. And so that was a big eye opener to me of like, you're doing the right thing because it's not just for you, it's for them too.
I love that. That's really cool. And what a special, like, important core piece of your business and why it's set up the way it is, but also just special treat to have that validation when they're so young and able to articulate it in a way that you get.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wild. Okay. Well, that was adorable and amazing. But you brought up ads. I don't want to forget. I just have a couple minutes left. So, ads, large topic. We could probably do a whole TED talk on it. But
Oh
could
my
you
gosh.
give just a few, maybe, I don't know, if I'm a small business owner, if me, advice you would give to me as a coach, simple ad things to know, things to be aware of. What little nuggets would you share there?
I think the first thing to know is do not invest into programs where people aren't proven like marketers.
Mhm.
And this is where a lot of the coaching industry is going wrong. Is
Yes.
there's a lot of people
We've
out
talked
there.
about this. That's why I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, yeah, go
exactly.
there, go there.
A lot of people out there that have taken an ads course for 30 minutes. Maybe they took the free one on like the Facebook website and they are now like the ads wizard. And they're now teaching these strategies. And when I watch them, because I've done my research and I have watched them, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to make people lose so much money. And it has. So the number one thing is please do not just take some like course and then dive into it. Like really understand the strategy that is driving whoever's, teaching, like driving their modality. Like understand it because if there's if somebody's telling you, hey, like put out sales ads first, like big red flag, like do not do that. So it's hard to think of like what is one thing because I could go on forever, but it's really going to be like they're not boosted posts. Please don't do that. And don't just like start selling. That's like, jumping into someone's pants on the first day. Like don't just sell to people right away. You're with ads, you're pitching to a cold audience. Like you need to warm them up and don't spend a ton. You shouldn't be spending like hundreds of dollars a day.
Yeah. No, that's great advice. And I think what happens when people do all those things the wrong way, then, oh, they don't work.
Yep,
And it's
exactly. And
like,
then like
yeah,
it's not for me.
Yeah, and I totally agree with all that. But I don't know how you feel, but I kind of feel like it's the long game. Like you have to have a deep awareness of all the different journeys that customers take within your business, and you have to have a place to direct those people, and the ROI may take a while for you to actually see, but as you said earlier, it's the offense, not the defense. So eventually, if you're a service and you're online, it's no brainer.
Yeah, exactly.
So hire Suzy or any of the people she's working with, and she will help you do it.
Yeah, or join my programs. I'm
Yeah.
teaching ads.
Yeah. No, that's so awesome. Well, thank you. This flew by. We'll probably have to do a part two, but could you quickly tell us more about this program? I know
Yeah.
as we're recording, it's coming up, but it will for sure be live when this airs. So tell us more about it. And then beyond that, where can people find more of you and get more of your support?
Yeah, so all the stuff is going to be on suzycrawford.com. It's just a link tree. I don't have like I don't even have a website. Um, but yeah, it's all my links and the program I have now is Freelancer to CEO. It is my baby. I love it so much and you learn ads, you learn how to run a business, you learn how to go from hustling for every sale to getting sales on autopilot and it's, taking you from 0 to 6 figures.
I love that. Super simple, direct. We will have that included in
Yeah.
the show notes. Is there any, I mean, we covered a lot in a short time. Is there anything else you want to share or speak to a younger version of you as we kind of wrap it up here?
Um I don't think so. I think actually I will say this. I feel like I come from a very unique place in that I am a mom, have a lot of kids, and if anybody is really struggling with what do I do? Do I quit my job or do I start a business? Do I have time? You do. You absolutely do and don't ever feel like you're super rushed and compare yourself to others. That's one thing I haven't mentioned is it can get so demoralizing and you can really get stuck in the mindset of like, well, they don't have kids, they don't know what it's like. And that's true. But what matters is your journey, not anyone else's. And stay on your path, know your goals, go towards your goals, and stick with your journey and don't compare yourself. It's so easy to do that as moms, whether in business or in life, in motherhood, everything. And just don't worry about everyone else. What matters is what you're doing.
Yeah, that's perfect. Mic drop. Suzy, thank you for your time today. This was an awesome episode. Listeners, I hope you got some strategy, but maybe just a little bit of support and inspiration here to pursue your dreams, regardless of your timeline and your circumstances. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And Suzy, thank you again.
Thanks, Kelsey.
All right, everyone, we'll catch you on the next one.